Hey guys, what's going on? David here. And today we are diving right in talking about three challenges that affluent men struggle with in attracting the women that they want. So I help primarily successful guys, guys that are rising in success, that are doing pretty well. A lot of guys are making six figures and they're on the rise to more affluence, and then definitely guys who have made a bunch of money, and usually older in life, right? I help all types of guys ultimately, but a large chunk of my clientele are successful guys because for lack of better belief, for better or for worse, it's often thought that just because a guy has money, he's going to attract women. And I can definitely tell you 100% that is not true. Well, let me say this, let me back up. Is going to attract quality women that like him for him. There's a lot of rhetoric out there today, unfortunately, and I understand why, right? We've all been burned as guys, or burned in love. Women have been burned too, but there's a lot of stuff out there that can often there can be a bad attitude that all women are, just out for your money, or all women are out to get you, or whatever it may be, right? A lot of bitterness. And it's the same on the other side. All men are like this and all men are like that. Women will say that too, certain women, right? But what I find, much like political commentary, is that most people are in the middle, other than the extreme cases, right? That are really outspoken, okay? And so to think that women just want a guy because he's rich is absurd. It's preposterous, okay? It's not genuine attraction for sure if you want a quality relationship, right? And so, that's exactly what we got to be talking about today, because I know that a good chunk of you here are affluent guys, right, looking for this help. And you've got issues, right? You have issues with this stuff. You have issues of not getting the attraction that you want, the connection that you want, the quality of women that you want, as I like to say, beautiful inside and out, right? So, and by the way, if you have not checked out my 7 roadblocks, become the one she wants, it's, really, really aimed at successful guys, especially. Affluent guys, right? You can download that. You can go to attractreport.com and pick that up. Okay, make sure you get a copy of that. And so let's dive in here. What are the 3 challenges here affluent men struggle with in attracting the women that they want? Well, the first one is we're going to chalk up to misperception. Okay. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I had guys that have bought a lot of women's stuff, not only dinners, but cars, physical enhancements, all kinds of stuff, right? Guys that I've talked to, guys that I've helped. And there can be, so on the side of the women who are, because there are women out after there, commonly known as gold diggers, right? Gold diggers, or looking for sugar daddies or things like this. Obviously, those women are attracted to it and that's what they want. But there are women out there that say maybe really attractive, beautiful, but also highly successful, okay, that don't want, women that don't want their money, the money's not going to impress them, okay? They know how to make their money, okay? They know how to do this. What's up, KK? I see you joined there. Cool. So it's going to actually turn them off. And depending on how you carry yourself, if you get your attraction and what you bring to the world and your vibe through your successes, accolades, and in particular money, well, that's going to come through in your vibe, and it's going to turn off the quality women that you want, right? Of course, you want a physically attractive woman. That's what most guys want. But you want that attraction on the inside too. You want her to be a quality person. And I hear this all the time with guys that are successful, that are flaunting their money around, because that's all they know, and they don't know how to be the best, most attractive version of themselves. So they're sending out a vibe that draws in women that only want money, or that that's their main criteria, or sugar daddy, right? And they're repelling the actual quality women that are generally the ones, when they talk to me, when they jump on a breakthrough call with me, say, oh, there's this one girl, this one woman, she's pretty badass. Like, she's a cool chick, and she's badass in her career, and she's hot. She's all these things. But I just can't seem to get the attraction going with her. I feel like I'm always having to chase her down, right? I feel like she's always one step away from me, right? Or she's telling me about some other guys, and I'm thinking, if you only knew, or hey, I'm kind of right here, and then a lot of times guys might profess their love, and then that just goes wrong, because the girl they're either in the unsure zone about this guy, or the guy's in the friend zone. And there are ways to turn it around, and she knows it. She can feel it, right? And so the misperception thing plays out big time. And she can make her own money. Or, let's say that there are just more other successful guys around, but they're more laid back, okay? And if you don't have that laid back vibe, and you're chasing, and also thinking the money's going to do it, and throwing money at her and throwing all this stuff, doesn't work. Not for the women you guys really want, because you want authentic connection, right? Experiences, relationships, okay? So that's the first one, is the misperception. The second one here is, yes, you live a higher lifestyle. So that's something you don't want to let go of, right? Because you can afford it. And so when you're living this higher lifestyle, and the problem is it can be obvious, right? And let's say that she is of a much lower income than you. The propensity is to want to pay, but that can really work against you, unfortunately. It's really contradictory and paradoxical how this stuff works, but it's true. It can really work against you. So, generally what I encourage guys to do is to play the prince and the pauper a bit more. I'm not talking about going extreme, forcing yourself to go to McDonald's or something. Not that I don't like a little junk food McDonald's once in a while, admittedly, but hey, I work out and keep in shape. But you know what I mean, right? So because you're in the lifestyle, you don't want to be inauthentic and hide it, but you can't have it being way too forward. This is still based on core attraction principles, right? Which, I'm not going to go into depth in this video. I've got my Attraction on Command Masterclass. You can hit that at coreconfidence.com as well. Other videos and stuff talk about many other things. But if you're walking around without an awareness that how you spend your money and how you do these things when you're in a dating process is not going to affect your perception of you, then you really gotta, you gotta take a step back. You gotta build that awareness. Okay, Prince and the Pauper is really an appropriate metaphor. That old story, right? The king he's a prince. He's going to become king. He's looking for his queen, but he goes and it's to an extreme though. I'm not talking about this, but it proves the point. He needs to make sure that she's a quality person and doesn't just want him for his kingdom and riches, right? And so, but he also, he's a quality guy. So, you got to show up as a quality guy. You got to bring value, right? Just as she's got to bring value to you. And so it ends up, of course, the end of the story is she falls in love with him. They have, that connection. And then she finds out as a secondary, as a surprise, oh my gosh, you're this prince and you've got this kingdom and this responsibility and you're a leader and you've got the wealth too, right? That's really the way you need to go with this, that you have to think about this stuff, okay? I often use the king metaphor versus the hunter metaphor anyways when I coach clients. It's a core principle for many, many reasons, and it goes beyond women. So you have to, again, hit this point on the head. You've got to be really aware of, if you're out with your buddies and you're spending your money and you're doing your thing, that's one thing. But if you're flagrantly doing that with a new woman you're seeing or some women you're dating, you have to really, really, and again, it could play back into that misperception. It could play really poorly because she might have her own means. She probably does. A lot of guys that I talk to want an independent woman, meaning they want to be interdependent, not codependent, right? They want to be kind of separate islands in the journey, but then they come together and they build a bigger island by choice, but not to become codependent. And guys certainly don't want a woman to be, ultra dependent on them for their livelihood these days. Totally fair, right? A woman that has her own shit together. So that's what happens with the high lifestyle if you're not careful of it. And then the third challenge is the high achiever ego, okay? The high achiever ego, which is basically because you are successful and have money and accolades and responsibility, because it's like, why can't I get this down? Why can't I attract the women that I want and for the right reasons? And that very same ego, which has helped you have the confidence to achieve the success you want, gets in the way and actually causes a lot of friction of having to be humble and to learn this stuff and to sort of let that stuff go in terms of what you're going to bring in value, right? I always talk about giving a lot. Giving value in the way of being more social, not honing in and being, and more than ever these days with the kind of conversations out there around relationships between men and women, that hunter stuff, being on the hunt, works less than ever. It can get you into trouble depending on how far you take it. So I never, ever recommend that, right? So, you have to watch your ego on this stuff. And, look, it's good that you're here if you're watching this looking for help, because a lot of guys don't even want to admit they got a problem because the ego is so big, right? I have friends who are, dating coaches for women. The women are actually much more open to help than the guys are because we're also conditioned that way. I can do it, independence and all that. And there comes a time where a lot of guys are going to need help. So you got to really be honest with yourself also. And if you need that kind of help, then reach out. You can send me a message and we can have a chat about if or how I can help you really accelerate the stuff, take it to the next level and beyond in your dating and love life with women. Okay. Story after story of guys that I've helped that, I'm doing a new case study interview this week, especially for you tech geeks out there that are, on the rise in your career, really successful or whatever. And I can definitively say this too, that with a client like the client that I'm going to interview later this week, is that it added to his career and helped to level leaps and negotiating all this stuff by upping his vibe, not only with women, but with people, because I really work on that core level. That's why it's core confidence, right? It's about being more attractive person in general. And there are certain things you got to do differently, right, with women, which again, I'm not going to go into here. You can always go to coreconfidence.com if you haven't joined up with the email list there and get the resources, the quiz. There's the masterclass, so on and so forth. Okay. So again, today, what we talked about was one, challenge with affluent guys that gets in the way, misperception of having affluence, having success, right? Two, the high lifestyle, not being aware of how that's coming across when you're around women. And then number three, the high achiever ego, getting in the way of creating a lot of resistance and even getting help with this stuff, right? So that's what I have today. I've got to run off to an appointment, and always a pleasure. And signing off, we're complete. Bye-bye.